Chapter 8, Just Flip a Switch, Thursday, August 27th. It turned out Miss Curnow is a fan of Dead, Dead, or Deadest, so she had no problems with the topic. Instead, she wanted to know how I'll learn to podcast. After I said with YouTube and books, she suggested a possible mentor, not a teacher but another student. His name is Jonas Shortridge. Oh, Fred's owner, the guy from Creative Writing. He started his late last spring. He had to find a new way to participate in sports after his, accident. Accident? Miss Curnow looked so uncomfortable I didn't ask for details. Whatever it was big enough she assumed I knew the story. Maybe Jonas's limp was not Fred's fault. I'll arrange for you two to meet during free period tomorrow. We haven't exchanged one word since the day we met. He doesn't even meet my eye in creative writing. Then again, he doesn't meet anyone's eyes. The next day, though, Jonas leans over before class starts. Miss Curnow says I'm supposed to give you some advice on starting a podcast. Want to meet in the library during free period? Sure, I say as Mrs. Wharton moves to the front of the room. She starts explaining point of view. Third person can be as close as a thought or as impersonal as a camera. How close do I want to get to Layla's story? A couple of hours later, I find Jonas settling in at a table at the very back of the library. The table closest to us has a backpack and a pile of books, but no person. How's Fred doing? Fine. I don't think he'd know what to do with the squirrel if he actually caught one. He's not a big thinker. I appreciate you stopping him. Miss Curnow's words echoed in my head after his accident. Were you hurt when you fell? Just my pride. The limp must be from his accident. It's probably the reason Fred was able to get away in the first place. You just transferred here, right? Jonas asks. It's like we're both inadvertently going for each other's weak spot. Yeah. After unzipping my backpack, I take out my new laptop. I was living with my mom, but I had to move in with my dad a couple of months ago. Jonas hesitates and asks, what happened to your mom? She's dead. I say it fast and flat, like it doesn't bother me at all. But I don't meet his eyes. I remember the day my whole world turned upside down. When I walked into our apartment after school, all the drawers and doors stood open, the contents jumbled. Too scared to call my mom's name, I kept moving. The kitchen sink was filled with dry cereal, the empty boxes lined up on the counter. Someone had clearly been looking for something. And then I had opened her bedroom door. Jonas sucks in a breath. Oh my God, I'm sorry. That's okay. I make myself think of my podcast, not my mom. Anyway, I appreciate you meeting with me to explain how to get started podcasting. He rubs his left knee. Miss Curnow said peer-to-peer mentoring will look good on my college application. I make a face to how stilted he sounds. He turns and catches it before I can smooth it out. His eyes narrow. A faint shout brings our attention to the nearest window, which is open a few inches. A PE class is running on the track. They don't seem very enthusiastic. Layla would have left them all in the dust. When I turn back, Jonas is watching them with his teeth sunk into his lower lip. Miss Curnow said you started your podcast last spring? Yeah, he gives his head a shake as if trying to make his brain change the subject. I learned a lot the hard way. It's not like you can just flip a switch and have your podcast magically appear on everyone's phones. It takes way more time than you think. For every hour of airtime, I put in at least 7 hours. Picking the topic, researching, finding someone to interview, writing the questions, recording, editing, doing the voiceover, and then putting it all together. There's a ton of work before you even upload your first episode. As he speaks, I start taking notes. Ms. Curnow said a passion project requires a minimum of 80 hours. Sounds like I'll have no trouble making that. You need to think about your target listener, Jonas continues. How old are they? What kind of job do they have? What are they interested in? What shows do they watch? And most important, what other podcasts do they listen to? I figure all I need to do is ask myself those questions. Jonas tilts his head. He's more relaxed now that the subject is podcasts. How often are you going to put it out? Daily? Weekly? Monthly? Once you promise a cadence, you need to stick to it. I was thinking weekly. That was Kelly McBain does. Of course, she covers a whole crime every week, and I'll just be putting Layla's story up into pieces. He nods. You should post at least 2 episodes the first time. That hooks listeners by giving them something to binge. And keep in mind that people listen to podcasts for the same reasons they listen to books on tape. Because they're interested in the topic, I say. That, but also because they want to listen while they do something else, like running or cleaning. For most people, it's commuting. A lot of weekly podcasters post on Friday, but I think that's a mistake. I post on Sunday night to catch all those commuters. Okay, I'm barely keeping up. And remember that podcast isn't like YouTube. There are no interesting images that can make up for poor sound. All you have are people's ears, so the sound quality needs to be good. You should get a decent mic, and you should record in a small room. Some people even record in a blanket fort. A blanket fort? I echo. The words bring back little kid memories of pulling chairs next to the couch and stretching a blanket over everything. I loved that. I felt so safe, like a bear in a cave. Suddenly, My heart is a weight. If you're in a bigger space, the words might echo. I nod and keep typing. Jonas offers me what is almost a smile, and it transforms his face. Now, if you're a perfectionist like me, you'll never like the way you sound, or you'll want to keep looking for the absolute best way to frame things. But done is better than perfect. You don't want to have perfection paralysis. This close, I notice a faint white scar in his hairline just above his temple. Does it have anything to do with the mysterious accident? You're going to need to set up your podcast host account. The host account will give you the feed for the RSS, that stands for Really Simple Syndication, and publish it to podcast players. By this point, I'm just trying to type everything in without understanding 90% of it. Jonas puts his hand between my eyes and the keyboard, forcing me to stop. Look, I'm sorry, this is turning into a big info dump. Maybe I should just give you assignments one at a time. Okay, I sit back and roll my shoulders. He taps a finger against his lips, thinking, then points at me. How about this? Your assignment, should you choose to accept it, is to think of a title and then make a logo for it. That little thumbnail people see when they scroll through podcasts. There are literally more than 1 million podcasts on Apple, so you don't want to do anything that hurts your chances of being noticed. First, make sure no one is already using your title. You want one with good searchability. Definitely no weird spellings. Something that lets a potential listener know what your show is about. I lean forward. Oh, I already know what I'm going to call it. Who Killed Layla Trejo? The title will make it clear it's about a true crime. Layla was actually a student here when she was murdered 17 years ago. Great. Jonas's voice is flat. He crosses his arms. I took a deep breath for courage. Is something wrong? It's just our podcasts don't have anything in common. I cover the best games in various sports. You, on the other hand, want to bring attention to someone's worst moment. I cross my arms. Bringing attention to the case might get it reopened. Some of the cases that the podcast Dead or Deadest covers have been solved after the episode aired. As I'm speaking, the owner of the abandoned backpack appears. It's a girl with shiny black shoulder-length hair parted in the center. Hey, Alice. Jonas's voice completely changes. Now it's soft, hesitant. She doesn't answer. Her dark eyes don't even look in our direction. Her silence is as strong as a shout. She puts her books into her backpack and slings it over one shoulder. It's like the two of us don't exist. Alice's departure leaves his space like a vacuum. She used to be a friend of mine, Jonas finally says. I can fill in the blanks. A girlfriend. And it didn't end well.